Welcome to Between the Business Cards, a podcast that helps business professionals take their network and sales skills to the next level. And now, here are your hosts, Martina Niemeyer and Brandon Suba.
Hello, and welcome to Between Two Business Cards. The business cards? Two business cards? Between the business cards, I think is consistently.
I think so.
That sounds right. I'm Brandon Suba with Valley Construction.
I'm Martina Niemeyer with CenterSphere.
And we're here bringing you as much information and fun tips and tricks we can on utilizing the meetings that you go to weekly, all the way down to the coffee and contacts or the random networking events that you attend. I've been networking professionally since 2008.
You have me beat. I've been networking since 2020, but was in education prior to that. So it's a little bit different.
That's the angle you bring here. We've seen some real great, wonderful things in the networking world, and we've experienced some very interesting and some not so great things. So our goal with this podcast is to just navigate you to what we've seen works the best.
Yes.
We also are on the CenterSphere YouTube page, so if you want to listen or watch this podcast, you can do that. Otherwise, we always appreciate whatever device you're listening to or streaming this podcast today. So we are going to kind of wrap up the pieces of the meeting, and this last one, many of you may not have thought as part of the meeting, but there are ways that you can utilize this to your advantage. But we're talking about the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Martina, you talk about the different things that you see how people end the meetings.
Sure. So every single chapter in CenterSphere has the ability to have the autonomy to operate how they want to operate, structure themselves the way they structure themselves. And so we've talked about a lot of pieces of the meetings, but they may come in different orders or things like that. Generally speaking, if I were to kind of lay out how a chapter is going to end things, they are going to kind of, have that presentation end itself, and maybe there's some questions. Maybe they then go ahead and talk about some of the business that they've done with one another. A lot of times that kind of closes things out. They may tell people, go ahead and have, take this time to set up some one-to-ones, have those little final conversations, ask any questions privately that you needed to with people, or, set up a one-to-one. And, kind of do that as a way to get people up, kind of mingling, and then people just kind of filter out of the room. Mm-hmm.
You can use, most groups use this time to do something.
Sure.
Generally, I feel when the 10-minute presenter is over, you have between 10 to 5 minutes, depending on kind of how long your meeting takes. Some of you groups may have a little bit more. You can do a lot more with that structure. I think there's even groups that have broken out into, if they have 20 minutes in the meeting, they'll break out and they'll strategize who they're going to invite to grow the group.
Sure.
So that they no longer have this 20 minutes of freedom. They're filling it with people that are going to utilize it just to grow the group. There's just a bunch of different things you can do, but we're kind of breaking down the main pieces that you don't want to miss. And I'll tell you, if you always leave 5 to 10 minutes early or right when the 10-minute presenter's done, you're missing these opportunities, and it could lead to your next big referral. So, go ahead.
No, that's what we've seen quite often is people will say, well, they just scoot right out of the meeting. I actually hear it from leadership where they're like, well, we want to make connections with this person, but they just leave. They cut out so quick. And we understand everybody's busy, but sometimes building that into your schedule intentionally, I know that I want to have conversations with people and I want to not feel like I am pressed to get out of there. Is that going to work every single week? No. But as a general rule of thumb, you can build in a little bit of extra time, give yourself a little bit of cushion. And that way, if there was some deeper questions you wanted to ask, or if there's a one-to-one and you want to get it on the books, you can do that before you leave.
So let's talk about the specifics, setting up the one-to-one, because we've talked about how to do a successful one-to-one. I don't know if we've really talked about scheduling as much, but Martina said this, and I'm really bad at this. I know you're very good at this. If you say, hey, let's have a one-to-one, and it's the end of the meeting, don't say, great, I'll shoot you an email with some times. Open your planner.
Yeah.
Just get it out. It's most digital at this point. And just set a time. That way you're not doing the emails back and forth. Hey, does this day work? No, but this day does. Oh, that doesn't work for me. just get it set. And then that way you've got the accountability and ready to go.
Yeah. I have several members who have told me that, they were told a long time ago, just set it up right away. And I've kind of taken that on myself as well, because if I don't get it on my calendar right away, there's a chance I'm going to get back to my car, back to my computer, and I will have other things on my mind, and I won't get to that scheduling of that. And then you've missed an opportunity. And it can happen. The other person can be waiting on it. The other person can, we've talked about the credibility piece. If you say, hey, I'm going to shoot you a couple emails with a couple of times, and then you don't, does that damage your credibility? So it's just easier to get something on the books. And then if you have to move it, you have to move it. But, at least you can get it set.
Mm-hmm. Now, another opportunity you can do is, and we talked about questions in the last episode, but if you do have a little more elaborate question, or maybe it's not necessarily a one-to-one needed, but a few more minutes than just, or maybe the presenter didn't open up for questions.
Sure.
This is a great time to go hit them up and say, hey, you said this, what about this? Mm-hmm. Or I thought of this referral opportunity. Is that something that fits? Again, if you're the presenter, I would definitely plan to hang out a little longer because you probably have people that now you've gotten their curiosity going and they're ready to chat a little more. But again, this is a great time to ask questions, not just the presenter, but maybe you heard somebody's weekly presentation that was like, oh, shoot, I have a referral for that, I think.
Yeah. And sometimes we need to clarify just a little bit, because remember, we're wanting to give quality referrals. And so if we need that time after the meeting, take the time, because you'd rather take that time and be able to pass a referral that's really great quality, or possibly just connect that person with somebody else. It can be a really great time for somebody in your chapter to be like, I don't work with that person, but or with that particular need or, thing like that. But I do have someone over here that I could, and you can continue to just kind of grow the network that way for yourself.
Open networking. Think of it as there's reverse happy hour. So you have the happy hour at the beginning, not at like 8 in the morning, of course, but you have at the beginning. But you can also have reverse happy hour or reverse open networking at the end. And I feel there are some groups that really hold on to the culture of when the meeting's over, it's not everybody scurries.
No.
They kind of hang out. Certain people will break into groups and chat, and it's just part of the culture. Again, this is planning for the full hour and a half meeting versus, oh, great, we're done early, I'm going to shoot out. I don't recommend it.
Right. And, that's it, planning ahead. It's really planning ahead. And, I'll have people say, well, I only have this budget in my, we all control our calendars for the most part. We're able to say, that meeting at 1 doesn't work for me because my meeting for Centersphere gets out at 12:30 and it takes me 30 minutes to drive to you. Well, then make it for 1:15 or 1:30, and then you've built in a little bit of extra time for yourself. So that reverse networking, it is really great to see. Also, culture building. It's a great time. Maybe you got there, and you didn't have an opportunity to catch Sally across the room and ask about that project that, she had done on her house that you didn't have anything to do with. You just heard she was doing something. Hey, did you get new floors? Are they cool? Do you like them? Hey, how was your Thanksgiving? How was your Easter? We just got done with Thanksgiving, so yeah. But I know you may not be listening in that order, but yeah, there's times where you're going to have an opportunity to just follow up with people about their lives and continue to build the credibility that you're interested in them and that you aren't just there transactionally, which I know that we'll talk about later.
Visitors. So it's always cool when you have a visitor join your group. If you want to more likely have that visitor join, having them partake in the open networking afterwards or asking them questions about afterwards, keeping them a little longer than just the meeting and making them feel very included is a huge way to make your group stand out, especially if they're visiting a couple. I know Martina said this, and it's crazy, but there are visitors that will report back and say, no one really talked to me.
It is the most cringe thing and I know that that's maybe not even words that people want to hear me say on here because it sounds very teeny bopper, but yeah, they are so yeah, exactly. Now people have stopped listening to us. Great.
Yeah, we're gone.
But there's definitely things where people will feel like they aren't necessarily welcome. This after time, this post-meeting time is really great, that you're not just necessarily going to the people that you always have a conversation with, but that you're branching out a little bit and using it as an opportunity to connect with people, especially if they're new, make them feel welcome.
Yeah.
So.
I realize we don't have this on the list at all. What about recognizing thank you for closed business with people, or talking about referrals, or the visitor you brought, or a one-to-one? Those are all things that a lot of groups, they do want to recognize, but this is not another 60 seconds to talk about your business.
Yeah.
If it's at the end of the meeting, you want to recognize, and the whole point is not to show off what you're doing, but it's to show what you've done with the group and maybe who has helped you in the group. Or, I had a great one-to-one with Martina. Everyone needs to have a one-to-one with Martina. Good. Move on. Move on. You've made your point, but you did recognize or had time to recognize during the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to do that. We've talked about the importance of saying thank you and recognizing people and things like that. It's so very important if somebody's given you a referral to make sure that you're communicating, hey, not only did I thank you for giving me a referral, but also you're doing your credibility thing where you're building that up of saying, hey, I followed up with people and I did my job with them and I was who you thought I was, and that's why you sent me the referral. So